I should explain believability-weighted decision-making to you if you're interested. Okay, so ordinarily, there are two ways of making decisions, pretty much. There's the boss has control, and so
autocratic.
Autocratic, right. I'll call that autocratic. Takes in everything and then he makes a decision. Or there's democratic, pretty much, one man, one vote. But really, the best decision-making is believability-weighted decision-making. And if you think about it first conceptually, you would say, if you're going to make a decision of what you have a medical condition, and you're going, how are you going to get that? You're going to think, who are the best doctors?
Consult the experts, right?
Consult the experts, but this one knows more and that one knows more, less, and how do you do it? And then you have this triangulation, and then you make that. That's kind of the idea of believability decision making. We have ways of assigning believability that we all agree are fair, that we each assess each other, and we get certain amount of believability points. So now imagine that you had believability, your believability on a subject matter. Maybe it's investing, maybe it's accounting, whatever the subject is, that you have a certain amount of believability weighted points and you're together. Well, those believability weighted points, when you say, okay, what should I make as a decision? Now I'm responsible for something, but I ask everybody else, and I take a believability weighted vote. I can have a believability weighted vote. When I have that believability weighted vote, I really do believe that it's going to be a better decision than I would individually make. That's believability weighted decision making.
I know that as part of the Spanx Training Bootcamp, one of the mandatory learning modules is comedy that every employee has to go through. So why is that important?
Yeah. Well, I just found out in the green room that I'm one of only 2 CEOs that you guys are aware of that's also done stand-up comedy. And the other one is who started Twitter, right? Yep. So I guess that would make me the only female CEO that's ever done stand-up comedy. Well, the part of also wanting to stay very connected to the feminine principles and the feminine style of leadership starting Spanx, I also felt like I didn't understand why everybody was so serious. So I thought, you know what? I don't subscribe to the fact that you have to act serious to be taken seriously. And I like to laugh at myself. When I worked in corporate America for a long time, and everybody was super uptight and super serious, and there was no humor and there was no levity, and then everybody at like 5 o'clock became ragingly hilarious. I was like, what's going on? And so the alcohol probably helped at 5, but anyway, I wanted to use humor, and I love to do that in the workplace. And yes, we have a boot camp at Spanx, a training boot camp when you come on board. And one of the modules is doing stand-up comedy. And I've used the comedic stuff that I did in my marketing. I mean, I wrote, "Don't worry, we've got your butt covered," right on my package when I first started in 2000, which was not very common to do, especially taking it to the Neiman Marcus to sell it. I named my company Spanx, which was, made people laugh, and believe it or not, it was very shocking at the time that I named the company Spanx. I actually had people hang up on me often. I would call them and say, "Hi, I'm Sarah from Spanx," and then they'd hang up. And I'd call back and I'd go, "I'm serious, I'm a real company, and my company's called Spanx." And they go, "Oh, I thought you were prank calling me." And then, naming my products, I broke into the world's most boring category. I mean, can we talk about shapewear? Who wants to talk about shapewear and undergarments? But I named it Power Panties. I started naming all my products, and it made people laugh, and it gave so much energy. And then all of a sudden you had Gwyneth Paltrow and Julia Roberts flashing their Spanx on red carpets and saying, "I'm wearing Spanx," like all these celebrities. And I think it's because I chose to do humor, and people wanted to participate in that. There was energy around that. So I use it in every aspect of the marketing. I use humor to turn around a situation when I'm bombing it. It might give me a second chance. When I cold called to sell fax machines door to door for 7 years, I learned very quickly that if I could make somebody laugh or smile, I'd get another 30 seconds before they'd slam the door in my face. It helps you move through pain. It's a wonderful tool.
I know nothing about technology. I know nothing about marketing. I know nothing about the legal, all the stuff.
What do you know?
I want to know about people. I know people. I was trained to be a teacher. As a teacher, you want your students better than you are. You want your best product is your students. You want this student to be a lawyer, that student is a banker, that student is an entrepreneur, that is a mayor. You don't want this bankrupt, that in the jail, that is in trouble. So you always want people better. And then you have to listen to them. You want to see their thing. And then make all the things to making sure that you can empower them. You can make them teamwork. You can then collaborate. So this is how we do. And I find the more you care about your team, the team will care about you, and the team will care about their customers. So I talk to all of my people early days, don't make me happy. Don't love me. Make your customer happy. Make your customer love you, and I will love you any minute. That is very simple. So everything we do as the founder, make your customer happy, get your team, make your team happy, and you will be happy.
You know, the 95-5 rule, there
What's
are no
that?
spare, 95% of everything we do is right every day in business. But look for the 5% you do wrong, and that's what makes you better than everybody
Interesting.
else. There are no spare customers, okay? It's a competitive
Facts.
world in every one of our businesses. Take no out of your damn vocabulary. You're on a business trip, and it's 11:02. You hang up the phone and on a call, and you call down to order some breakfast, and they say, "I'm sorry, sir, we don't serve breakfast anymore." I say, "That's okay, no problem. I don't need a waffle or an eggs Benedict. Just throw a couple eggs in a skillet and send them up scrambled, however it's easy for you to do. I'm sorry, sir, we don't serve breakfast." Why are you telling me no? I didn't ask you for anything special. You're going to throw a burger in the pan. Just throw me a couple of eggs and take care of me. B, you're in the hospitality business, okay? And you're telling me no. And everybody's in the hospitality business no matter what they do. You take care of your customer, okay? You take care of your customer. It's no different than we walk in and your people meet us polite. You put a welcome up on the screen. You come in here, everybody, can I get you some water? Tell me, can I do this for you? You're in the service business.
Everybody
so why
is.
do you want to be an ass and say no to somebody when it's just as easy to say yes, or you just give an alternative?
Because the company's being run by somebody who's not.
So I remember when you first told me that you were thinking about tunnels.
Yeah, when did I first tell you about that?
Years ago.
Okay, it's like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like
I
people
thought you were
think-
joking.
Yeah, it was. I was joking, but it's not because of some epiphany that I had one day driving down the 405. That's how it gets translated somehow. I was talking about tunnels for years and years. For probably 5 years or 4 years at least, whenever I'd give a talk and people would ask me about what opportunities do you see in the world, I'd say tunnels. Can someone please build tunnels? So after 4 or 5 years of begging people to build tunnels, and still no tunnels, I was like, okay, I want to build a tunnel. So like maybe I'm missing something here. So I was like basically talking people's ears off for tunnels for several years, and then said, well, let's find out what it takes to build a tunnel. And so I started digging a tunnel. I wanted to start the tunnel from where I could see it from my office at SpaceX. So I said, well, let's just carve off a part of the parking lot across the road so I can see if anything's happening or not. And then we named our first boring machine Godot, because I kept waiting for it. It never came. Finally it did, and we got it going, and now we're making good progress.
Well, if you come up with an idea where you say, I can make dollar bills for 50 cents, would you go out and raise money, or would you just go out and sell it? You just go out and do it, and that's what you have to do. And look, we all go through that fear factor of, do I quit my job? Can I do this? Can I do this, and what happens next? The one thing I know with 100% certainty, and what I would tell myself is, if I can sell and become a better and better salesperson and be great at selling, I'm always going to be successful whether I'm working for myself or if the company that I started just didn't work. I'll give you an example. Out of Indiana, before I went down to Dallas, I needed to start something. And I decided that everybody drank milk, and I found this product, powdered milk, that was cheaper, and everybody needed to save money. And I was going to go out there and sell it because it was cheaper. Now, it didn't taste quite as good. And so but I went out there to try to sell it. Failed miserably. But I learned how to make the sales effort even when things weren't going right. I learned that the rejection was, every no got me closer to a yes. That not every product was perfect, but I could take those same skills, even in failure, and translate them. So that what I learned selling garbage bags door to door, what I learned from selling powdered milk that was awful, what I learned from selling local area networks at Micro Solutions, all those things accumulated, and I got better at selling. So I always knew, people always say to me, if you lost everything, what would you do? I can sell. I can sell. And it's not about selling ice to Eskimos. It's not about, convincing people to do this. Selling is always about helping. Selling is always about understanding the person you're talking to and what their needs are. And if someone can help me make my life easier, yeah. People, now with employees, people always say, well, what's the definition of a great employee? Someone who can reduce the stress of those around them. And it's the same thing. What's the definition of a great salesperson? Someone who can reduce the stress of their salespeople. And if in looking at your company and looking at your life and looking at your goals, if you're able to go out there and recognize that whether it works or doesn't work, you're putting yourself in a position where you're helping somebody, not convincing somebody, and you're reducing their stress, you're gonna be okay. It's gonna work out. And that's the confidence I've built in myself that wasn't necessarily always there. But I learned that if I try to help, if I reduce people's stress, good things can happen.
I always look at IQ and talent as sort of representing the horsepower of the motor, but then in terms of the output, the efficiency with which the motor works, that depends on rationality, because a lot of people start out with 400 horsepower motors and get 100 horsepower of output, and it's way better to have a 200 horsepower motor and get it all into output. And so why do smart people do things that interfere with really getting the output they're entitled to? And it gets into habits, into character, into temperament, and it really gets into behaving in a rational manner. It's not getting in your own way. As I say, everybody here has the ability absolutely to do anything I do and much beyond. And some of you will and some of you won't. But it will, the ones that won't, it will be because you get in your own way. It won't because the world doesn't allow you to. It will be because you don't allow yourself to